Section 1. You will hear a woman calling the London Police Department to report a robbery. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. You will see that there is an example which has been done for you. On this occasion only, the conversation relating to this will be played first.
Hello, London Police Department.
Yes, I would like to report a robbery.
The woman says that she would like to report a robbery, so robbery has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Hello, London Police Department.
Yes, I would like to report a robbery.
All right, just a minute while I pull up the form. OK, could you give me your first and last name?
Anna Grieg.
Anna Gregg. G-R-E-G?
No, Grieg. G-R-I-E-G.
Got it. All right, moving on. Gender, female. Date of birth?
15th of March, 1980.
All right, thanks. Just a few more personal information questions, and then we can address your claim.
All right.
What's the address?
4 Ellendale Street. That's E-L-L-E-N-D-A-L-E.
Oh, right, Ellendale Street. Yeah, we've had a lot of break-ins in that area lately. And the postal code?
W5 2AT.
And are you a citizen of the UK?
No.
OK. What type of citizenship do you have?
Well, I lived in the United States for most of my life, but I am actually of Grenadian nationality.
OK. So is that the country that issued your passport?
Yes.
All right.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
And what is the crime you're reporting?
I already said a robbery.
Oh, right. Sorry. This is about the 100th robbery report I've filled out today. Have you had any prior break-ins?
In the building or just my flat? The unit below mine got broken into last year.
No. Just your flat.
Oh, then no, not here.
All right. Let's see here. Can you think of anything that was out of the ordinary around your building, or anyone who may have had reason to do this?
No, it seemed like just a normal evening. I didn't see anyone suspicious and can't think of anyone that would target me specifically.
How long has this been your place of residence?
Let me think. I moved in on February 1st and it's October, so it's been about 8 months already. Wow, time flies.
And that is just for Ellendale, yeah?
Yes, I have lived in the UK for just over 1 year.
I see. Can you give me the first and last names of all members of the household?
Actually, I live alone.
OK, so no other occupants. And can you give me a brief account of what happened?
I left to go to a dinner party at 6 p.m. and when I returned at 11, I found the place ransacked and a lot of my things gone.
Any sign of forced entry?
Yes, the back door was wide open and it looked like someone used a crowbar to force it open.
I see. And just to be clear, was the door locked when you left?
Of course.
Hey, you would be surprised how many reports we get where people have failed to lock their doors. Now, I need you to list any missing items valued above £200.
So far, I'm missing my computer, my purse with my wallet in it, and the TV.
OK, let's start with the computer. What is the estimated value?
£500.
And what is the serial number?
G41687770.
Thank you. And a visual description?
It is a black 13-inch PEMDAS cloud book. There is an Oxford sticker on the lid.
OK, and could you give me a description of the purse?
Sure, it's a Claude Frieda shoulder bag and the material is silver-coloured cloth.
Price?
£300.
OK, that concludes my report. I'll submit it and we'll let you know of any developments.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 2.
Section 2. You will hear a radio presenter interviewing a doctor. First you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully to the interview and answer questions 11 to 14.
Hello everyone. I've just been joined in the studio by Dr. Matthew Johnson. Dr. Johnson works at the Wesley General Hospital and he's here today to tell us all about giving blood. Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning.
So Matthew, why is it important for us to give blood?
Donating blood is not important. It's actually vital that people do this. Without donated blood, thousands of people would die every year, and it's something that could affect everyone. We all expect blood to be there for us, but barely a fraction of those who can give do. Yet, sooner or later, virtually all of us will face a time of great vulnerability in which we will need blood, and that time is all too often unexpected. The need for blood is great. On any given day, an average of 38,000 units of red blood cells are needed. Blood transfusions are often needed for victims of things such as accidents and burns, heart surgery, organ transplants, and patients receiving treatment for leukemia, cancer or other diseases. In 2002, nearly 29 million units of blood components were transfused, and with an ageing population and advances in medical treatments and procedures requiring blood transfusions, the demand for blood continues to increase.
We really need that much?
Yes, and we need it now. Blood supplies nationwide have reached critically low levels, with less than 1 day's supply of several blood types. Thousands of accident victims, cancer patients, premature babies, and countless others who need blood to stay alive are hoping you'll care enough to help them. All blood types are needed. You now have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the conversation and answer questions 15 to 20.
What are the different types?
It's a bit more complicated than that. First we collect the whole blood from donors and then it's sorted into the different types, which are basically O, A, B or AB, though there are also divisions here. Then the blood is split into its constituent parts. We divide it into 4 basic parts. First there are the red blood cells, then the white blood cells, then things called platelets, and finally plasma. This is shipped off to hospitals where they use the blood parts that the patients need.
What are the different parts used for?
Well, as I said before, the whole blood is your blood in its natural state, and something we rarely use. It's much more useful to us to have it separated into its component parts. Red blood cells are what everyone associates with blood, i.e. it's red. It's widely used to replace lost blood during surgery or when people hemorrhage. Its main function is to carry oxygen to cells. White blood cells are the most important part of the body's immune system, and they're used for patients whose normal defense systems aren't working properly. Platelets are crucial for making your blood clot, and we need to give them to patients who suffer from illnesses that deplete their natural levels of platelets, or they will bleed to death. Finally, plasma is what carries the other parts of blood around, and needs to be administered with any of the other components. Take away the red blood cells, and this is actually yellow.
So that's what blood is all about. Now, you're here in Wesley today to collect blood. Can you tell us where and when we can donate?
Of course. We're set up here today, that's Wednesday, and for the next 2 days at Wesley General Hospital at the Outpatients Department. Come along between 9 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. and we'll be able to deal with you within 1 hour. And let me tell you a few things that will calm your fears about giving blood. Aside from a brief needle prick, it doesn't hurt to give blood. Your body will replace the blood you donate within days of your donation. And finally, you can't catch AIDS, hepatitis, or any other disease by giving blood. And of course, you get a cup of tea and a biscuit afterwards.
And can anyone give blood?
Almost everyone. Donors must be in generally good health, be at least 17 years of age, weigh no less than 110 pounds, have not received a tattoo within the past year, and not have donated whole blood within the past 56 days. We screen donors with a series of questions before we take the blood, so if you're unsure, come down and we'll let you know. Please come down and see us. Remember, if you can donate 1 pint of blood, this can save up to 3 lives.
Well, thanks, Matthew. I, for one, will definitely be going down to Wesley General to donate.
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3.
Section 3. You will hear a conversation between Carlos, Melissa, David and Simona. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 30. Okay, everyone. Let's look at what presentation tips we come up with for our next seminar, Melissa.
Okay, here's my first tip. Show up early. Some experienced presenters say that something good is bound to happen. I'm not sure about that, but...
Well, you may have a chance to head off some technical problem. Also, at the beginning, before you actually begin your presentation, people filter in slowly. It's a great time to introduce yourself.
Can't argue with that. Simona had some ideas about opening.
Have a strong opening. I picked up a few ideas for structuring your opening. First, never apologise. If you're worried the presentation won't go well, keep it to yourself and give it your best shot. Besides, people are usually too preoccupied with their own problems to notice yours.
I like that.
Open by addressing the following 3 questions. What's the problem? Who cares? What's your solution?
Excellent suggestion. David, you've gone quiet. Well, my next suggestion is PGP. That means that with every subtopic, you should move from the particular to the general and back to the particular. Even though the purpose of a subtopic is to convey the general information, bracing it with particulars is a good way to draw attention and promote retention.
I've got another one. This might not be a tip so much as a law. Give everyone at least 1 piece of paper. A piece of paper is a record from your presentation. People can use that to help recall the details of the presentation, or better yet, to tell others about it.
The next tip I have is know your audience. This is, of course, a general piece of advice for public speaking. See if you can find out what styles of information a presentation they are most familiar and comfortable with. Adapting your presentation to those styles will leave fewer barriers to the direct communication of your material.
I like that idea. We mentioned possible technical problems before. My next point is that maybe speakers should rethink the overhead projector. Is one really necessary?
I think that often is, but I agree with your basic point, Simona. Don't use one just because it's there. Maybe a good tip is to consider carefully what you're putting on your slides.
Yes, David, that's a very good point to make. Slide content is, well, you don't want too much, too little. Carlos?
Good a point, to both of you. Another point I have is to respect the audience. Don't condescend by dumbing down your lecture. Show them respect by saying what you believe and what you know to be the whole story.
I also have a point about humour. I think that humour is generally good, but be careful with it. Humour in a presentation works best when it actually drives the presentation forward. If you find you're using canned jokes that don't depend on the context of the presentation, eliminate them. David?
Maybe, Melissa, but always be very careful about jokes that put down a class of people. If you're going to alienate your audience, do it on the merits of your content.
Also, avoid masculine or even feminine pronouns as universals. It can be a nuisance to half the audience. As universals, use the plural they. The Oxford English Dictionary has allowed they as a gender-neutral singular pronoun for years.
Thanks, Simona. Thinking towards the end. Take care with the questions. Many people judge the quality of your talk not by the 20 minutes of presentation, but on the 30 seconds you spend answering the question. Be sure to allow long pauses for questions. 10 seconds may seem like a long pause when you're at the front of the room, but it flows naturally from the audience's point of view.
Let people know you believe your material. Speak with conviction. Believing your subject matter is one of the best ways to speak more effectively.
Finish early, and something good is almost bound to happen. If nothing else happens, people will be able to leave early, and suddenly they'll have an extra couple of minutes to do things they didn't think they'd get to. People will really like you if you do that.
I think we have missed the key point. Practice. Practice over and over and over. If you can, record your presentation. Play it back and watch yourself. You'll discover 1,000 horrible things you never knew about yourself. Now watch it again without the sound. Why are your hands flying around like that? Now listen to it with the picture. Get rid of those ums. Now watch it at twice the normal speed. This emphasizes low-frequency cycles in your gestures. David, those were excellent points. I have one more, something quite simple, but often overlooked. I read that the two most dehydrating things you can do in a modern civilization are live presentations and air travel. I don't know if it's really true, but the message is that the way to stay sharp is to drink lots of water. Take care of your body, especially your voice. If possible, avoid alcohol too.
So, we've got to organise these points now.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4.
Section 4. You will hear a conversation about astronomy. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40. This is Magic Time from the BBC. I am Faith. In today's programme we invite a Professor of Astronomy. Welcome, Lewis.
Thanks a lot, Faith.
What magic information will you introduce to us?
We all know the Leonids in August are coming, so today let's talk about meteors.
Good topic. At one time or another, almost everyone has glimpsed a swift little streak of light dashing across the night sky. Nearly everyone makes wishes when they see them, and blame both good and bad luck on their presence.
Yes, these sudden celestial visitors are meteors. We often call it shooting star. The glowing trails are caused by the incineration of a piece of celestial debris entering our atmosphere.
Many meteors are quick flashes, but some last long enough for us to track their brief course across the sky.
Right. Now and then, a meteor truly will light up the night, blazing brighter than Venus, although rarely, even brighter than the moon, leaving in its wake a dimly glowing trail that may persist for minutes.
Lewis, can we see some meteors every night in 1 year?
Yes. Under a dark sky, any observer can expect to see between 2 and 7 meteors each hour, any night of the year. These are sporadic meteors.
Sporadic meteors?
Yes. Their source bodies, meteorids, are part of the dusty background of the inner solar system. Several times during the year, Earth encounters swarms of small particles that greatly increase the number of meteors. The result is a meteor shower, during which observers may see dozens of meteors every hour. Concentrations of material within the swarms may produce better than average displays in some years, with rates of hundreds per hour, and were treated to a truly amazing display in which thousands of visible meteors can be seen for a brief period. The phenomenon is called meteor storms, which are more magnificent than meteor showers.
Aha! That's wonderful!
Definitely. The meteors that appear during a meteor shower seem to come from one point in the sky. This illusion is an effect of perspective, just as a roadway seems to converge in the distance. Usually, meteor showers get the name of the constellation from which the meteors appear to radiate. Such as during the Perseid shower in August, meteors seem to streak from a point in the constellation Perseus.
When is the biggest meteor storm?
According to records, in 1833, a storm of 60,000 meteors an hour shocked the world.
60,000? That's unbelievable!
By the 1860s, scientists had known that many meteor showers were annual, including the normally placid Leonids, which produced the big storm, and that they were somehow related to comets.
Really?
Yes, but most of the meteors people have seen during one of the annual showers arise from fluffy particles not much larger than sand grains. As a particle enters Earth's atmosphere, it collides with gas atoms and molecules. The particle becomes wrapped in a glowing sheath of heated air and vaporized material boiled off its own surface.
Whether meteor is very near to us when it appears?
No, in fact, it is an illusion. However, even well-trained professionals can be fooled, such as airline pilots have swerved to avoid meteors that were actually 160 kilometers away. A meteor that appears brighter than any of the stars and planets is a fireball.
Fireball? That's so interesting.
Yeah. Most meteors are seen 80 to 120 kilometers above the ground. Sometimes, someone will claim to see a fireball land on a hilltop. But in fact, a real fireball first appears at a height of about 125 kilometers, and loses its brightness while still at least 20 kilometers above the ground.
Yes. What colours do meteors have?
Usually, most meteors look white, but some also appear blue, green, yellow, orange, or even red.
What will happen if a meteoroid gets to the surface of the Earth without being completely vaporized?
It will be a meteorite.
I heard meteorites were long ago thought to be cast down as gifts from angels.
Yes, and others thought the gods were displaying their anger.
Really?
As late as the 17th century, many believed they fell from thunderstorms. They were nicknamed thunderstones. many scientists didn't believe the accounts of people who claimed to have seen meteors, and some experts were skeptical that stones could fall from the clouds or the heaven.
Yes.
One of the most significant meteorite events in recent history destroyed hundreds of square miles of forest in Siberia on June the 30th, 1908. According to local witnesses, a ball of fire streaked through the sky and seemed to enter the atmosphere at an oblique angle. It exploded, sending out hot winds and loud noises, and shaking the ground enough to break windows in nearby villages. Small particles blown into the atmosphere lit the night sky for several days.
So, nowadays, the prevailing theory holds that a meteor exploded just above the surface.
Yes. Most impact craters and basins larger than the meteor crater are heavily worn away, or have been buried by rocks and dirt as the Earth's surface changed. At present, Chicxulub Basin, centered in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, is the largest one. The diameter of basin is around 300 kilometers. Rock samples obtained by drilling into the basin show that an asteroid struck the Earth there about 65 million years ago.
Does that the same period with the dinosaurs disappeared?
That's right. Many scientists believe this debris caused climate changes which made the dinosaurs not survive.
We do really hope that will never happen again.
Right.
OK, thanks for watching today's programme. See you next week. This is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers. This is the end of the listening test. You now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the listening answer sheet.